Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter here with another video for Scan and Cut users. This time around I'm going to show you how I used the Zoom Precision Engraving Tool to create this. How awesome that we can create our own metal jewellery, custom, bespoke. Fantastic, isn't it? Okay, there's bound to be a whole ton of questions, so I've tried to preempt as many as possible. With this little slide of the machine, the software and various other bits that I've used, and obviously with my explanations of the process throughout this video. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below the video on YouTube or in the comment section of my blog. I think it's probably easier if I just dive in and get cracking, and then you'll see how this comes together. Okay, a couple of quick steps to set up. First, you'll need to take the protective cover off of the metal blank, if there is one indeed, so that you've got just bare metal. Then apply a strip of double-sided tape to your cutting mat. The standard cutting mat just isn't sticky enough to hold this in place, unfortunately. If you've retacked with your own adhesive, try it out for yourself. But basically I would recommend Gorilla Tape because, as you can see, I've got a couple of pieces there that I tried with a cheapo tape, and it basically stuck to the mat and to the metal blank. So just test it in an inconspicuous space that you often don't use on the mat. Then position the blank on the tape and press it down, and you would load your mat as normal into the machine. Then grab your zoom tool, undo the blade carriage thing, put in the fine tip, that's the very pointy one, which is sharp, so do watch your fingers, and then make sure it's all the way in and screw that closed. You'll then replace your blade holder with the zoom tool itself, no additional holders needed, and then lock it in place. Then go into your scan menu on your Scan and Cut and choose Direct Cut, and preferably use Canvas Workspace to do this. Press Start. Make sure the lever on the side of the machine is at position 2, that's the position at the top, and then press Start. That's then going to scan a photograph of your mat and send it over to Canvas Workspace. When it's finished, tap OK, and then go all the way back to the home screen. We don't want to use any of the other process of direct cut for this. When we get over to Canvas Workspace, we need to import what we've just scanned. So I go to the File menu, Import from your cutting machine, and then Scanned Image. That will then place the image of the scanned cutting mat on your workspace. And the first thing that you want to do is go over to the Layers tab and lock that layer. We want to lock it in place. We don't want it to move. Next, it's a good idea to zoom in a little bit so that we can see what we're doing. Now, you can use pretty much any design. I prefer to use single stroke designs. That's basically shapes that are not closed. So things like drawing lines or designs that aren't a closed shape, like a square or a circle. But you can use those, and I will be. Now, for this particular example, I'm going to be using a pattern from the line embossing set, and these are released, or these patterns are added to Canvas Workspace with the activation of the line embossing kit. But again, as I say, you can use any. So I'm just going to drag that onto the cutting mat. Obviously a little bit too big, so just drag one of the corners and resize it so that it fits. And then I'll drag it off to one side. Now I want to ungroup these, so I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control Shift and G. That will ungroup all of those. And I'm going to zoom in to the selected objects so I can see better. Now I want to select one of those spiral groups, so I drag a selection box over those and group it with Control G, then copy and paste it with Control C and Control V. Now I'll just use the hand tool to move over a little bit. Then back to the selection tool, and I'm going to move that so that it basically repeats the pattern a little bit more. If I zoom out now, and I'm going to group the others that I'd ungrouped, and then align them using the alignment tools in the Edit tab. Now, it might seem bizarre, but I'm going to ungroup all of those and then group them into one group. And that hopefully will become evident why I did that later. But for now, I can copy and paste another one of those. And then in the transform section, I can flip it in both directions. And I will drag that off to the other side. So we have the majority of the design already set up here. I want to add a circle to house the letters that I'm going to add. So I drag that on, resize it. I'm going to move it so that it touches the left-hand section of the design, and then I'll bring the right-hand side over. Then I will select all three, align them along the middle horizontally, and then use the Distribute Objects option to make sure that they're evenly spaced out. I can then group those into one and reposition to where I'm comfortable that it's in the center of that bracelet band. Roughly. There we go. Now, one thing to do before I move on, actually no, I'll do that in a second. I'm going to add the text. So I go and grab my text tool, click in the mat, type the text I want to use, and then click anywhere off that text to set it in place. Now this font is too chunky for me, so I'm going to go and choose another. And because I'm working in the PC version or the desktop version of Canvas Workspace, not only have I got Canvas Workspace fonts, but I can access all of the TrueType fonts on my computer, which means if I can remember where it is and the name of it, I can use this one, Lato Hairline. Now, all TrueType fonts are made up of outlines, but this particular font has been made so that those outlines are so close together, it looks like a single line font, especially when I'm working at this size. So I'll just bring that in. And then I will select the group and the text and align them middle and horizontal, and just double check that it hasn't moved me out too much. I think we're going to be fine. Now, I mentioned something that I need to do before I transfer this back to the machine, and that is to make sure that all of those lines are set to draw. Now, I've got a couple here that are set to cut. I could go through and individually change them with the little drop-down menus on the right. However, because I've got everything selected here, I can go over to the Operation drop-down, top left, and just choose Draw. And that's now changed them all to be draw lines, which is what I want. Now I can send it back to the machine. So I'm going to go to the File menu, Export Transfer FCM. We get this. Oh, actually, hang on. No, that's fine. We get this warning message to say that the lock-unlock data will be invalid when editing on the machine. But basically what this means is it's not going to transfer the image back because it's locked. So I click OK, and then I can choose which method I'm using. Because I've got the Wi-Fi set up, I click on that, and then click OK. That's now gone back to my machine. So I will get back over there and show you the next steps. Back over at your machine, tap on Retrieve Data and then Canvas Workspace, and that will load in your design where you positioned it. Tap OK, and then from the output menu, choose Draw, because we set it up to draw. Then in the settings, drop it down to, and in this case I'm using -8 because I'm using a 1.5mm blank. There are 0.7mm blanks which require different settings. I've got a whole sheet which I can suggest to you in a moment. Then press start, tap OK when it says attached appropriate holder, and then click start again. Continue doing those phases or passes according to the settings that I've put in this document. Basically that's available for download from my blog gentlemancrafter.com. If you need to make any adjustments, then feel free to edit this yourself and make it some changes if you need to. But basically continue all the way through, and then basically when it comes to the end you'll take your blank off the mat and then you're ready to shape it into a bracelet. When you've got everything set up, basically it should look something like this, a flat blank with the engraving on. Now I mentioned that tape earlier, and when I used the rubbish tape, it obviously stuck to the back of the thing. I'm sure you could get it off with some kind of cleaner, but the Gorilla Tape basically stayed in place and did not leave any residue on the blank, so well worth looking out for that if you can. Alternatively, just try whatever you've got in your craft room. Now this is the Zoom bracelet forming jig, and it comes with a pack of blanks, and basically you will slot your bracelet into the little, let's call it a trough, and then push it around the curved edge. I'll show you, it's easier than me just telling you. So position it in, and I do have a lint-free cloth here, just A for fingerprints and B, you know, we are using metal, so I do like to just protect myself a little bit, but it's actually not that sharp, so you should be fine. Basically hold the base in position and then push with all your might. It is a metal, but it is a soft metal, so it should just form itself nicely. Once you've done one side, take it out, position the other end in the little trough, and then repeat. Just push it around the bracelet forming blank. When it's out, just give it a little push in from both sides, just to finish off that curve. And there you have it, a bracelet engraved with your scan and cut. How cool is that? And with the settings that I suggest in the sheet that you can download, you get a nice smooth finish as well, no jagged edges on the surface of that blank. Okay, so that was using a copper blank and an aluminium blank, but sterling silver is the same hardness on the Mohs scale, which is around 2.5, I believe, so you could do it with precious metals as well. Anyway, there's a way of using your scan and cut for something other than paper and fabric. Isn't it great? There's lots more available to you out in the world of scan and cut, so do look out for it. If you've got any questions about this particular project, please feel free to leave them below the video on YouTube or on my blog as ever, or if you're part of my Facebook group, of course, you can pop your questions in there as well. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications about future videos as well. This channel is full of other stuff, not just scan and cut, so please do pay it a visit and take a look. I hope you'll find it useful. Right, that's me done for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.